don't think that we can ever have peace with my family unless the truth is out there.
And we never went longer than 2 weeks without seeing each other, even though we were obviously doing a long-distance relationship. So it's...
Story over the weekend, wasn't it, Hugo, suggesting that there were high-level talks between the King's team and Harry's team about...
When I tell you what went down that night, you'll think it's straight out of a royal drama. Prince Harry wasn't even meant to be on that jet, not that night, not even that week. The man had zero plans to fly back to the UK, but everything turned upside down when a single message reached Montecito, a whisper that turned the entire palace world into chaos. The royals had quietly started something big, something about the titles. And this time, it wasn't rumor, it wasn't tabloids, it was real movement inside Buckingham Palace itself. When Harry's team heard, the whole room froze. Phones started buzzing, aides whispering in corners, plans collapsing like dominoes. And in the middle of that madness, Harry did the one thing no one saw coming. He said, "Get me to London." No PR strategy, no carefully drafted statement. He wanted one thing, a face-to-face showdown before the palace made it official. Within hours, a private jet was waiting. Meghan wasn't coming, the kids weren't coming, just Harry racing alone into the storm he'd spent 4 years running from. And guess who he wanted to confront? Not King Charles. It was William. That alone tells you everything about where the real power sits now. For months, there'd been whispers, but nobody thought the palace would actually go through with it. Harry and Meghan had been living their perfect California dream projects, interviews, Netflix deals. They looked settled. Everyone thought the monarchy had learned to live and let live. But one night, that illusion shattered. A message landed, this time not from gossip circles, but from someone inside the palace. Someone who knew. The titles were being reviewed, papers already moving, signatures happening. The royal machinery had begun to turn. Harry's team went dead silent. The kind of silence that makes your stomach drop because you know life's about to change. Then the phones exploded, calls everywhere trying to confirm if this was real.
Today, Prince Harry has just declared war on his brother.
But every contact said the same thing. Buckingham wasn't bluffing anymore. This was happening fast. Imagine the scene, people whispering in corners, papers everywhere, someone's coffee going cold on the table, everyone asking, what do we do now? Because there's no playbook for when the palace decides to take your title away. Harry, instead of panicking, just said 3 words, "Get me to London." No discussions, no media spin. He knew once the palace acts, there's no going back. He'd seen it before, how the royal machine crushes forward. So, he wanted to face it man to man, brother to brother, before the door slammed forever. Within hours, his jet was ready. Alone. No Meghan. No kids. No emotional cushion, just Harry. Flying toward a confrontation that could redefine his entire life. Hours in the sky alone. No one to tell him he was doing the right thing. You'd think after Oprah, after the Netflix series, after the tell-all book, he'd be done with the royal mess. Why care anymore, right? But this wasn't about image now. This was about his name, his children's future, everything that came with that title. Lose that. And it's not just a word, it's identity, protection, legacy, gone. And here's where the twist hits. Harry wasn't racing home to see the king. He was coming for William, his brother, his best friend turned stranger, the man he'd once trusted with everything. That tells you something. William wasn't just waiting to be king. He was already in charge, the one calling shots from the shadows, while Charles stood as the public figurehead. Inside palace walls, whispers had changed tone. Staff weren't going to Charles for approvals anymore, they were going to William. Charles had wanted to be the gentle monarch, the healer after his mother's reign, but illness, exhaustion, and endless family drama wore him down.
I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in...
So, while Charles tried to conserve his energy, William quietly stepped forward. At first, it didn't look like a power grab, but it was. Charles began deferring decisions. William started taking key meetings. Slowly, the shift became obvious. The staff even had a name for it. The pre-accession era. Translation? William was already ruling before the crown officially touched his head. William didn't want a soft monarchy, he wanted a spotless one. Not sympathetic, commanding respect, not pity. People close to William said something snapped. Overnight, he changed from patient and diplomatic to cold and decisive. He started treating the monarchy like a corporation, and Harry and Meghan, they were liabilities. The endless interviews, the book, the documentaries, every story that reopened royal wounds, William saw all that as brand damage. He didn't want the monarchy to look like a reality show anymore. So he made a call. If his father wouldn't fix it, he would. Not emotionally, strategically, he'd done the math. Every time Harry spoke, the crown lost dignity. So, William started planning months in advance a cleanup operation that would protect the monarchy for decades. He gathered a small, secret team of experts who knew royal laws, titles, the inner mechanisms of the crown. Quietly, privately, with no paper trail, they explored one question. Can we legally remove their titles? And when they found out there was a path complex but possible, William made his move. He needed precedent, and that's when Prince Andrew's situation became useful. Andrew's scandals had already forced the palace to rewrite certain rules. William saw it as the perfect framework. If they could strip Andrew, they could strip anyone, even Harry. And that way it wouldn't look personal, it'd look procedural, professional. The plan was brutal in its brilliance. Quietly, step by step, he built the foundation. And by the time Harry heard whispers about it, it was already rolling. William's approach wasn't about revenge, it was about control. He wasn't the emotional brother anymore, he was the CEO of the crown. He analyzed everything where the royal image was bleeding respect, where the scandals hit hardest, who was dragging the brand down, and the numbers pointed one way: Harry and Meghan. He'd watched headlines reduce the family to memes and mockery. He couldn't let that be the monarchy he inherited. His father's calm patience was noble but naive. William's rule would be surgical. Identify the problem, remove it, move on. Meanwhile, over in California, Harry finally realized this wasn't just palace chatter. It was real. The messages coming in weren't gossip, they were warnings. His own contacts inside the palace were whispering, "It's already happening." That's when panic hit. He'd thought William's love for him as a brother would shield him. That childhood bond, the shared trauma of losing their mother, surely that meant something. But now,
in the land of Montecito, there is one person that truly loves to poke the fire, make sure that she gets...
None of that mattered. William had stopped thinking with his heart. The crown came first. Harry's team wanted diplomacy letters, press management, quiet discussions. But Harry said no. He wanted a real talk. No advisors, no middlemen, just the two brothers, face to face. His team begged him not to, said it could backfire, but Harry didn't care. He thought if he could just look William in the eye, maybe he could reach the part of his brother that still remembered who they were before all this. He didn't know that William had already moved past feelings. Someone close to William even said it, and it sent chills through everyone who heard it. William doesn't want an explanation, he wants an example. Those words hit Harry like a thunderclap. This wasn't reconciliation. It was punishment, a public example of what happens when you challenge the crown. The ultimatum was cruel. If Harry wanted any chance of keeping his titles, protecting his kids, and maintaining even a thread of royal identity, he had to undo everything. No more interviews, no more documentaries, no memoirs, no brand deals, trading on royal names. He'd have to vanish, go silent, disappear from the public narrative. Essentially, William wanted Harry to erase himself, the man he'd become, the life he'd built. And Harry knew it wasn't an empty threat. Once those titles are gone, they're gone forever. No appeals, no forgiveness. Charles, meanwhile, was quietly watching it all collapse. Imagine waiting 70+ years for the crown only to have your sons tearing each other apart over it. The gentle king who dreamed of peace now sat in silence, realizing being king meant sacrificing the people you loved most. William represented the crown's survival, Harry represented freedom and humanity, and Charles was stuck between legacy and love. His advisors told him the truth: the crown had to survive, even if that meant losing his son. He'd watched his mother make that same choice 100 times over her reign. Now it was his turn. And so, while Harry's plane tore across the Atlantic and William stood in his London office sharpening the future, Charles stayed still, a father dying inside, a king trapped by duty. When you really break it down, losing the title isn't just about a name. It's about losing everything. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, would become plain Henry Mountbatten Windsor. Meghan would be just Mrs. Mountbatten Windsor. Archie and Lilibet, no longer prince and princess. Just kids with a long surname and no protection. Can you imagine explaining that to your children one day? You used to be royalty, but not anymore. It's devastating. And beyond identity, there's money. Every project Harry and Meghan had, the Netflix deal, the book, the speaking tours, they all existed because the world wanted a royal story. Strip the titles, and suddenly they're just another celebrity couple with a podcast and a past. That's what one palace insider reportedly said, and it's brutal because it's true. Without the titles, doors stop opening, security disappears, influence fades. Their entire brand, the aura that made them fascinating, melts away. For Harry, that's not freedom, that's erasure. He'd spent years saying he wanted to be normal, but now, as the palace prepared to make it official, the thought of being ordinary terrified him, because who was he without Prince Harry? And his children, oh, that's where the pain cuts deepest. They'd lose something. They never asked for a legacy. They didn't even get to choose. That weight, Harry would carry it forever. When the sun rose over Buckingham Palace, London looked the same, tourists snapping photos, guards in red uniforms, but inside those walls, the monarchy had changed forever. William stood by his window, not triumphant, not emotional, just still. He'd done what no one else dared, cut away the chaos, reshaped the monarchy with his own hands. He wasn't waiting to be king anymore. He was the king in everything but name. Across the ocean, Harry woke up under the California sun, the same house, the same morning routine, but everything felt different. The palace had moved on without him. His royal world had ended while he slept. Game over, one commentator said. And maybe they were right, because what's left when the world that made you unmakes you? Harry, once the Golden Prince, was now just another man trying to rebuild his life from the ashes of his crown. William, once the gentle heir, had become the cold architect of a new era, one where survival mattered more than sentiment. And King Charles, the peacemaker trapped in heartbreak, watching as history repeated itself through his sons. Power in the House of Windsor doesn't whisper, it strikes. It doesn't wait for permission, it demands sacrifice. And William proved that you don't need a coronation to become king. You just need the will to choose the crown over love. That's the chilling truth. The gentle prince everyone once adored is gone. What's left is someone harder, colder, a monarch in the making. The new era has begun, ruthless, strategic, unstoppable. And somewhere in California, a man once called Prince Harry is realizing that when you step away from the crown, sometimes the crown steps away from you forever.